Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai 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 Ram Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Hari Om to everybody.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Your voice we are not hearing. Very feeble. At least our voice you are hearing, you know.
Yes, Swamiji.
So we are in chapter number 20 now. The preceding chapter love can surely conquer hate. That was the theme we discussed on Saturday. As soon as this ticket examiner, when he caught hold of Papa's hand, when he looked at him, there was a sudden change in the attitude of the ticket examiner. Why so? Because Papa was looking at him with a welcome smile. Now, not that what is he going to do? A most welcome smile, he discovered. At once, he let go his hand and drawing himself back a few steps, seemed to have given himself to some thinking. It was Ram who was at work. For next instant, he asked all the sadhus to go out of the station. Accordingly, all the sadhus left the station one by one. O Ram, when thy invincible arm protects thy slave, where was fear for him? One thing was proved incontestably and beyond any doubt, and that was, thou disarmest the evil intentions of an adversary. When he approaches you in a violent mood, by meeting him with a smile instead of with fear or hatred. Love can surely conquer hate. Love is a sovereign antidote for all evils. After all, the whole occurrence might be only Ram testing the sadhus to see if they would lose their self-control under provocation. All that Ram does is for the best. Every now and then Papa is asserting that probably even after every episode, no? Why is it so? Have we thought about it? After every event, after every testing event, Papa is bringing out these words. The reader is the same. Why does he bring about? Can anybody say anything? No. Even if they say, we cannot hear also.
Yes. Papa's surrender is total.
Papa's surrender is total. Ah.
Papa's surrender was there total. That is why. Yes.
Anything else?
Swamiji is asking anything else?
When we pass through every episode, we the readers who have not yet been grounded in this, we need to be reminded again and again and again and again. We may not even remember what day for yesterday we have read. That is our plight. So even on a particular episode, we need umpteen number of repetition. That is why immediately after the incident, before the incident, in between the incident, Papa keeps on bringing this dimension. O Ram, when thy invincible arms protects thy slave, where was fear for him? It was meant for Papa, that is not necessary, He has already reached the stage from where he has started. So we should also know that it is meant for us.
Pardon? Vivekananda.
We are unable to hear your words.
Vivekananda ji, again, will you please repeat? Vivekananda ji, can you please repeat? Connecting always internal hearing. Internal reality.
So every time, immediately after the episode, Papa keeps on bringing these words in so many ways. The idea is that we, the reader devotees, who would like to follow as much as possible on Papa's lines, we need something for us to be reminded. Otherwise we may forget. Because our me and mine is very strong, we will start viewing it only from the individual level. By bringing these dimensions, Papa is asking us to see from a little more higher level. All the ticketless sadhus who were lined, and the first one was a Jatadhari, the ticket inspector, whenever he gets a interval, he handles, violently handles the jata, and Papa was the next. Papa, at the same time, the Jatadhari was accepting everything with a smile. Papa wanted to exchange his place, he did not. Then afterwards, when the entire platform was empty, when the ticket inspector had full time, he immediately turned to Papa and then When he caught hold of his hand, the clerk coming up caught his hand in a firm grasp and looked on his face, in which he discovered a most welcome smile, bright and beaming. At once he let go his hand. And then he asked everybody to go. Nobody else was tortured. So again, Papa, instead of continuing the episode, immediately says, O Ram, when thy invincible arm protects thy slave, where was fear for him? One thing was proved incontestably and beyond any doubt, and that was thou disarmest the evil intentions of an adversary when he approaches you in a violent mood by meeting him with a smile instead of with fear and hatred. Love can surely conquer hate. Love is a sovereign antidote for all the ills of the world. After all, the whole occurrence might be only Ram testing the sadhus to see if they would lose their self-control under provocation. All that Ram does is for the best. So every now and then Papa inserts this. So that by the time we reach the 37th chapter, we should have been 100% convinced about it. And in many cases, everybody will be taking some steps to get it grounded. So the subtle message is, we should also try. Another method, just now it's occurred to us, that we have now covered about 20 now. Suppose we start marking words of this kind of Papa from each and every chapter. Then we will find that the same idea is repeated in different words. Probably to avoid, drudgery or boredom, Papa has used different words, that's all, but the theme is the same. Accepting every situation as ordained by him with a smile, cheerfully. So this is the important message. And then what happened next? Now the time was about 2 o'clock past midnight. It was pitch dark, so the sadhus sought for a place on the station for taking rest for the night. But conditions for this were far from favorable. The station was full to overflowing, as it were, with passengers. Every available nook and corner of their portion of the station intended for the passengers was occupied, and they were all scattered on the floor, sleeping in fantastic postures. All space filled up. However, Ramdas and his guide, the Sadhu Ram, crept near a pillar where there was found room for both to sit on their legs. The cold here was also very severe. The sadhus sat up close to and pressing each other, so much so that they seemed almost molded into one piece. Ram Bhajan was going on. Ramdas became unconscious and dozed away where he sat and did not wake up until he was roused by a strong and shrill voice asking all passengers to take to their feet and walk out to the station. This was the order of the railway police. Ramdas opened his eyes and instantly became conscious of his body, which was discovered to be in a peculiar condition. The legs had turned so stiff with cold that they had stuck fast the bend of the knee joint, and on a look at them, he further made out that from the knee onwards, both the legs had swollen and also the feet, as though they were stricken with elephantiasis. However, by rubbing them briskly with both hands for about 5 minutes, he could unlock the stiffened joints. Slowly rising up, he hobbled along for some distance. As he walked on, the stiffness disappeared. About 8 a.m., they reached the city of Jhansi, about 4 miles from the station. Even while reading, we can understand the pitiable condition through which Papa is made to go through. No? Just imagine, at 2 o'clock they got down from the station, from the train, and from 2 o'clock early in the morning, they were sitting in a crowded place, not an inch to move about, and because of that, everything got, he said, no, something like an elephantiasis. They were stricken with that much edema, you know. And with all that, they were asked to get out, and they started moving. We can visualize now, you know. The severest test Ram is confronting Papa, and not a word about their condition. So that is how the chapter 19 ended. And 20. Making inquiries, they straightway went to Dharamshala, and resting here for some time, at the suggestion of the Sadhu Ram, directed their steps to the bazaar, and obtaining some flour, etc., from a charitable merchant, the Sadhu Ram prepared a few rotis and dal curry. After finishing dinner, they remained in the Dharamshala till evening. Then the Sadhu Ram proposed to move toward the station, which was reached before dark. The same ticket clerk, whom Ram had brought in touch with the previous night, was found at the gate. Ramdas went to him and requested him to allow them to proceed to Bombay by the night train, although at first he consented to do so. When the train arrived at 2 a.m., he refused them admission to the platform. It was all Ram's wish. See? So they had to spend another night in the station, which meant cold, stiffening, swelling in the limbs for a second time. Next morning, they retraced their steps again to the city. The state of the Sadhu Ram's mind at this time was most miserable. Coming to the same Dharamshala, they met 2 Telugu sadhus. The Sadhu Ram, after a short talk with these sadhus, at once made up their mind to give up the company of Ramdas and join them. It was again all Ram's making. His ways are always inscrutable. Total submission to him means no anxiety, no fear, no pain, and all assurance. About half an hour later, Ramdas was left alone in the company of Ram, whose name he was uttering without cessation. The new sadhus and the Sadhu Ram, who was so long his guide and foster mother, as it were, departed from the Dharamshala. Ramdas was meditating on Ram, unconcerned at the severance of the Sadhu Ram's company, for complete resignation to the will of Ram had deprived him of all sense of anxiety and cares for the future. How many times he is repeating? No. This is what is important for people like us. Not the episode, not the station, not the ticket instrument. But without break, Papa is constantly reminding us of the truth that Ram's will alone prevails, and Ram means always well. Ramdas was meditating on Ram, unconcerned at the severance, for complete resignation to the will of Ram had deprived him of all sense of anxiety and cares for the future. Thus time was passing in Ram Bhajan when two friends came up to him, dropped into his hands 2 1 pieces, suggesting that he might purchase some eatables from the bazaar and break his fast. Accordingly, he directed his steps to the bazaar. Here, while purchasing some eatables from the sweetmeat shop, he felt at his elbow somebody pulling him. He had now received the eatables. Turning round, he heard the friend address him, Maharaj, a Seth desires you to go over to him. Ramdas instantly followed the friend, who led him into a shop wherein were piled up wheat bags. As he entered the place, a friend came up from inside the shop and fell prostrate at the feet of Ramdas, the mendicant. Rising up with folded hands, the friend requested him to accept bhiksha at his house that day. This friend was the merchant who had sent for him. He was then asked to sit on a thick white mattress called gadi, with cushions to lean against. But Ramdas was a humble slave of Ram, so he preferred to sit on the floor. Here again he was offered a gunny bag on which he sat. After dinner, the kind-hearted merchant was sat beside him and put him some questions in regard to his movements, etc., which were all duly answered in terms of Ram's will, which was alone his sole guide. He further told the Seth of Ram's kindness and love for his bhaktas, and how he who trusts in Ram knows no sorrows and can be happy under all circumstances. To have Ram's name on the lips means joy, pure joy, nothing but joy. The merchant was visibly affected to hear these words, for he was himself a great Rama Bhakta. Sitaram, Sitaram was always on his tongue. After a few minutes' talk, the Seth entreated Ramdas to remain with him for some days. He said that Ramdas's body, which was then in a most neglected condition, required to be taken care of, and that Ram had specially sent Ramdas to him with this sole object. It must be related here that the clothes in which he was clad were all rags. Mahadev Prasad, such was the name of the merchant, in whose care he was placed by Ram, provided him with new clothes dyed in Garua, and every care was taken of him by his kind host. Mahadev became extremely fond of him. At nights, in spite of remonstrances, Mahadev Prasad would sit beside the sleeping Ramdas and press his feet. Oh, the kindness he showered on poor and humble Ramdas was unbounded. O Ram, it was thee who was doing all through that friend. O Ram, how good, how loving thou art. Weep on, Ramdas, in silence weep on. Weep not in sorrow, but in joy, because Ram's grace is upon you. For a month he was detained by Mahadev with him. Throughout the day and night, he would not give up the company of Ramdas. At his request, Ramdas was explaining to him the meaning of some slokas from the Bhagavad Gita, with the help of the small understanding with which he was gifted by Ram, and Mahadev in return would read out and explain the monumental work of Tulsidas, the Hindi Ramayana. All people in his house were also very hospitable and kind to Ramdas. To prevent any cold affecting the heart of a frail-bodied Ramdas, Mahadev got a tight woolen jacket made of him. O Ram, again you see, O Ram, how kind of thee, when thou art out to show thy fondness and love for thy slave. Thou shameth, the very human mother who gave birth to Ramdas' body. Such is thy unlimited love. During Ramdas' stay at Jhansi, Mahadev Prasad took him on a visit to two Muslim saints The first was an aged saint named Mirzaji. He might have been over 60 years of age, lean, bent. He would not speak, but there was a cheerful twinkle in his eyes. In short, he was a mere baby, simple, innocent, free. Mahadev Prasad had brought some eatables with him, which he thrust into the saint's mouth bit by bit. There was not a single tooth in the saint's mouth. The eatables were soft sweets. He chewed and swallowed them unconcernedly. He seemed to recognize nobody. His eyes had an absent and vacant look. Though bright, he was visited twice. On the second occasion, he was found sitting on the ground outside his cottage, quietly tearing away to bits stray pieces of paper scattered around him. So in this Jhansi, in this particular chapter 20, how many times Papa is bringing the Ram dimension? This is the message. Probably one more hidden message is there. Just because we chant his name, just because we try to surrender to him, it doesn't mean that we are exempt from any of the tests. Severest test. Instead of grumbling, complaining, getting frustrated, nowhere we find. So Papa is indirectly telling us the path is really up the hill, It is not that easy. But at the same time, we will not feel the severity of it, provided we bring in the dimension of Ram. So again and again and again, probably like every breath that we inhale in and exhale out, we have to bring in this dimension. Behind every happening, behind every turn of events, whether it is adverse or not, whether it was the ticket inspector who meted out this severest test, or whether it was the shop owner, Mahadev Prasad, who lovingly asked him to be with him and who lovingly took care of him, even at that moment. You see, not only in the severest test, but even when he was taken care of lovingly by others, he is not seeing the individual there. He is only trying to bring the Ram dimension. This is the powerful message. And if we go through in this 20th chapter, how many times he has addressed Ram? The ticket clerk whom Ram had brought in touch with the previous night, It was Ram's wish. It was again all Ram's making. Ramdas was meditating on Ram unconcerned. In terms of Ram's will, to have Ram's name. O Ram, it was thee who was doing it all. O Ram, how good, how loving. Gifted by Ram. O Ram, how kind of thee. Thou shameth, the very human mother who gave birth to Ramdas's body. You know? So we find 10 or 11 incidents in the small chapter. You know? Huh? So this is the message for all of us. Every time when we read this, we are praying again and again, why are you not making me to do that? Immediately when something goes wrong, I get upset. Even we were all upset for half an hour when we were unable to give the connection, because you will all be inconvenienced. You will all be anxiously waiting, and for the past half an hour we have been struggling. Probably we thought, we will have to inform you today is okay, tomorrow we'll meet again. But somehow Ram willed otherwise. So even from the tiniest to the grossest, the powerful message Papa is giving us through all these chapters, Suppose you make a count, how many times he brings the word Ram? He is not giving any tall talk, no philosophy, nothing. An episode and connecting up with Ram. Whether it is negative or positive. Not merely in negative, not merely in positive. And that too under what sort of a condition? In rags, stiffness, biting cold, no proper food. With all these, he forgets not to bring the Ram dimension. Anything else anybody would like to say?
With these chapters, we are getting more clarity on God's will.
In everything,
Efforts made to raise the descendants of people like Mahadev Prasad, the chance to go to family pictures, grandson.
Right. Somebody should take pains to go there. It may be a tough job because they would have left the place also. According to Ganeshana of Ramandashram, when he came here, according to his book, he asked Mataji, what should I do? So Mataji told him there might have been a number of devotees who would have left at some point of time from Bhagavan. You try to locate them, and then whatever is possible you try to send. So that is why he wrote a book called Periya Puranam, Bhagavan, where he was able to locate about 75 such people. So similarly, somebody should take the lead. In Jhansi, it might be possible. We must go there. One should take it as a project. It might be definitely there. There might be. I told you, day for yesterday, when in Coimbatore, we happened to go to a temple where we knew later on that the person who was instrumental in building that Sai temple had come here and taken initiation from Papa, and he always attributes that it was Papa who made him to do that, and he was having Papa's photo also in his room. So there may be, we cannot say that, there may be so many people still with whom we would not have got in touch with, or they would not have got in touch with us. Anyway, this Mahadev did exemplarily, taking care of Papa's. In next chapter also we will find how lovingly he was taking care of Papa in every aspect. There are many, many, many such devotees. Okay, before we close, any other thoughts that well up in anybody's heart? No, that is right, because we are only hearing, So, rest of the things are me and mine,
So, supposing we have made a program of going somewhere, which is very urgent, and the flight gets cancelled, or for some reason we cannot go, we will be lost as what to do now. So, how to actually get established with that?
No, the answer is simple. Unless and until we get grounded in this, we will not be able to do it. Because 99% of our attention is on me to me. The me and mine has occupied us completely. So we have not given space for him. So hearing is not doing, So hearing we will all okay. But during this 1 year, when we have decided to take an in-depth study of in quest of God, many might be having this resolve, At least let us try to accept. We may not be able to accept fully. We want, at least in one or two, once at least in a day, like that. Even on a small item which will not affect us much, why not we try? Somewhere we have to try, that is what is intended by this in-depth study. In-depth study means, by which we try to make some resolves. I will do this silently, without tom-tomming. I may slip, as usual I may react. But in the shortest possible time, I shouldn't have done it. This is not what is expected of me by Papa. So like that, when we keep on hearing it, even this very comment, we find it difficult. That would be the stepping stone. Because we are hearing now at least, Even for that, we need some background, some grace. Otherwise, we can think about something else, hear about something else. But when we set apart some time for this and hear, and what are we hearing? Here we are hearing the same thing. Without feeling drudgery or boredom, we are hearing the same thing, First ABC, I think he is now teaching us. This I have already heard. Nobody says that. So when we have passed through now 20 chapters, suppose some of us can make definitely an effort from chapter number 1 or 2. How many times Papa brings the word O Ram? Pages are very few. From first chapter to this chapter, 72 pages in bold letters. Suppose 1 hour when suppose we sit, we will be able to jot down page number Om Ram. O Ram. Then we will know how many times he is bringing out this. Then we are trying to think about it. Why did he bring out the same thing? When he knows the reader is the same. Not a one page, the reader of the first page does not get changed after 2 pages. The reader is the same. Then why should he bring the same idea? So the idea must have been to somehow hammer this idea into our brain. Something will percolate into our brain. Something will make a deep dent into our mind. That for anything and everything we should somehow try to bring in this Ram dimension. Once he made, how many times he has made a mention about meditation. Then only we remember, yes, it is not merely chanting. He will say meditation. So meditative chanting. And now we can say, O Ram. Then we can say how many times he makes the word test. Suppose we pick out the word free from anxiety, free from fear. Same word. So we are not here to complete this book, We are to eke out the best as much as possible from each and every chapter. And then observing us to what extent it stays with us, or as usual we forget about it. We cannot change one fine morning, When we react to events and individual, what the norms we have, we will not be able to change. But is there an effort on our part to change? Kindly think about all these things. These are all some of the ways by which, we can do the real research, Today morning, right from morning till this moment, have I been able to bring in this dimension at least once? Did I thank him for anything? Was there any test meted out to me? Like that, Somewhere you have to make a beginning, It is for that reason alone that this year we are now taking up this in-depth study. Because in Quest of God, everybody has read. Everybody knows broadly about what is the content. But with all that, again he prompted and motivated everybody to take it up on a full-time basis, full-fledged basis rather, with all its seriousness. So the idea is to somehow get 0.1% of Ram's dimension in our life. Whether the me and mine is getting thinned out, whether we are in a position to think about him, whether we dwell on Papa's itinerant yatra, whether we are given some space for Papa and Ram in our mind. These are something which we have to do then, stock taking. Otherwise the portion will be over, again we are back to square one. Something serious should take place before December in everybody's life. Percentage can be different, but something should take place. This is what Papa wants every one of us. This is what Mataji wants every one of us. Bring in Papas. We have heard Mataji telling how many times, there is that, have you given space? Read that. Last. Probably that would have been taken out, we don't know. Teeny weeny. Have you given some space in your mind? All these years, you have taken a lot from Papa. You have been taking. What are you?
In return to Papa.
What are you in return?
What are you given to?
What have you given in return to Papa? Some of you, all of us, no. Valla solluma.
Maintaining a toehold.
Toehold.
Have you learned to give in a teeny place in your heart for Papa?
Lashing. Have you given a teeny weeny space, no? This is a question we have to ask ourselves. Actually, when we started this idea, when Papa gave, what is to be displayed here, this particular one came from, I don't know where from we got it, but it stuck to us. Oh, sorry, we have not. Put it there. Because once in a way you will read it, no? Then you will try to give some space for it.
Papa is there in our hearts. That is true. Because every time we remember Papa, so he is there. But what we have done, in return, what we have done, he is there. That's the thing.
To be blunt, we have not given space. The me and mine is fully occupying. 100%.
But as you said, right,
We can console ourselves.
after we do something which we shouldn't have done, then we suddenly realize of what we have done, we shouldn't have done. That definitely strikes.
Anyway, let us hope, at least, our feeling becomes a reality, that Papa is there in our heart.
There is no
And in ashram, we have got this facility, you know. Morning, the moment we go near Bhajan Hall or Samadhi Mandir, Ramnam chanting goes on. Knowingly or unknowingly, and then when we go there for flower offering, wonderful opportunity for all of us to emotionally tie with Papa Mataji, Swamiji, you know, because we are offering our flowers, then we are taking their tirth, a direct one. And then, of course, everyone takes up their own seva or activities are okay, that's all right. Evening again, most of us join for the Arati. It's also a sacred occasion for all of us to again pray to him. I am sorry you made me to not to think about you throughout. Though it was my intention at the time of offering flowers at your holy feet, that I should be able to bring the Ram dimension. But somehow my old habits did not permit me to bring. Only I was there. I and mine was there. So that is how we conclude our thinking. Again, next day we have an opportunity, no? So there could be so many devices by which we can bring in this on a planned measure. That early morning when I go to Bhajan Hall for offering flowers, I will make a humble request to him. See, look here, today you have opened my shop, business, my life business. And there is every likelihood that I may be preoccupied with me and mine. Kindly enable me to think about you. Who is the substratum, who is everything. And then we go out, either inside the ashram or outside the ashram. Then we are again attending the Arati session at Samadhi Mandir or in the Bhajan Hall. Then everyone will think, have I been able to do anything of this side? For some of us, probably we may get, yes, we did. For some of us, probably we may get, no, we did not. Again, we can try. This is what exactly my Puja Mataji wanted. So everything has been facilitated for all of us. And from the mother's heart, she felt, that is why that word has come. You have taken so much from Papa, what have you given? When she mentioned the word Papa, it means Ram, no? It means the indwelling and all-pervading reality. It means the mother nature and the society. It means everything, you know. You have taken so much from mother nature and society. And what have you done? So this should be there. This is very important for all of us. During this 1 year, we have now covered about 20 years. 20, another 17 are there, that's all. So some serious study should be done. Serious introspection. We don't want just to cover the chapters. We want something, something to happen in our life. Something that happened in our life means something that happened which will connect us with the Ram dimension. We want that. So it can be through prayer, through resolves, through concerted actions, through sincere efforts, let us all try on those lines. It's already 5:16. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram